ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Welcome to the study of Bhagavad Gita. Today, as all of you know, we will be studying the 13th verse of the second chapter, that is Sankhya Yoga. Before entering into the proper Bhagavad Gita, we will chant one verse on the meditation of Bhagavad Gita and then go into the proper study of Bhagavad Gita. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramarthanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. The 13th verse of the second chapter is now being chanted. I request all of you to chant this mantra or chant this verse after me. I'll break it into smaller bits and then we can chant together. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Now the verse will be displayed on the screen. You can see the particular 13th verse of the second chapter, and then you can also see the meaning, simple meaning there. You can chant the verse with your book, or you can see the verse on the screen too. Dehinosmin yatha dehe Dehinosmin yatha dehe Kaumaram yauvanam jara Kaumaram yauvanam jara Tatha dehantara praptihi Tatha dehantara praptihi Dhirastatra na muhyate Dhirastatra na muhyate. We have now finished the chanting of this 13th verse. We will see the simple meaning. As the indweller in the body experiences childhood, youth, and old age in the body while we are living in the body, this body, he also passes on to another body in the similar way. So that is death. So the serene one, Dhiraha, the courageous one, the man with superior intellect, Dhiraha, is not affected thereby. So we should not grieve, worry with the fear of death of this body or another body. That's what Krishna is telling. We shall now go to the simple explanation of the last verse, so that with that background, with the recapitulation of the meaning of the last verse, we will get a better idea. Now, what did Krishna tell in this verse? The born one, that is the jiva, the human being, passes through boyhood. We all know once upon a time we were small children. We pass through that babyhood. Then we become young children, boys or girls, then we come to a youth, then we come to our old age, middle age, and old age. It is the same entity that experiences all these changes, isn't it? It should not be held that the individual that is the baby is quite different from the individual that is youth. So that is what Krishna is telling. Through all these stages, you see something you yourself call as I. I was a baby. I became the young child. Then I became the youth. Then I came to the middle age. Then I came to the old age. So it was not different people. It was not the different person who was passing through all these stages. So that's why Krishna is telling, just like the soul, Atman, is eternal. It is a common factor here, which is referred to as the I. Is passing through all these stages. The changes is outside. As Swami Vivekananda gives, the vast infinite sky is there, and different clouds of different hues and color pass through. So the sky is the witness. So the clouds just pass through. Sometimes it may be days together, then weeks together, maybe months together, but it doesn't make any change in the sky. Likewise, this Atman is the witness. So all these different changes take place within this body in our life. Similarly, after the death too, just like the Atman was there behind all these passing clouds of young age, middle age, and old age. So, likewise, even when the body is exchanged, different bodies are taken, then too the Atman is the same, it doesn't die, it doesn't change. That is what Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, through which he is telling us, so you do not grieve. So, to understand this better, let us go to the to get the summary of the last verse, the 12th verse. Then we can nicely, by the recapitulation of the earlier verse, we can get a better idea of the present meaning of the verse. So we saw that Krishna was explaining in the 12th verse the philosophical, the spiritual approach, that is Sarvam Atmamayam Jagat. It is the consciousness, the Atman, which is everywhere. And Krishna will point out that Atma, which is Chaitanya Swarupa, of the nature of consciousness, of the nature of not being the enjoyer and the doer, abhokta, akarta and abhokta, without the sense of action or that is sense of agency and sense of enjoyership. So now, therefore, there is no question of anybody killing or anybody being killed. It is just shifting the vision. When you look at the pot, now with a better example, we can understand Krishna's teaching there. What is that example? We all know pots, which is made out of clay. So the pot, when you look at the pot as a pot, you talk of the origin of the pot and the destruction of the pot and the maintenance, the existence of the pot in the shape of that pot for some time. So then from your vision of pot, if you change that, shift that vision from pot and learn to see it is nothing but clay. Before it got the shape of a pot, it was in the form of clay. After it was broken, the pot, it again went back to the clay form, isn't it? So now shifting the vision, when you look at the pot as pot, you talk about the origin of the pot and the destruction of the pot. But once you shift the vision, just like Krishna is asking us to shift the identity from the body, mind, ego, intellect to the Atman. Likewise, if you shift your identity or shift your vision from the pot to the clay, clay was there before, clay existed even in the form of pot. In that particular shape, clay alone was there. And even when it is broken, nothing is lost because clay continues to be there, mud continues to be there. From the standpoint of clay vision, there is no birth, no death. Let us take another example. So these are all examples for us to make understand we don't get destroyed. As Atman, we existed earlier, we exist now, we exist after this body is gone. So we need not fear death. That is what Krishna is telling again and again. Do not grieve, do not be afraid, do not worry over the death of your body or the death of your kith and kin or anybody for that sake. So people who have this knowledge will not worry at all. They do their duty with that detachment. That is what is very important. Krishna is trying to tell us. Now another beautiful example, with many examples you can understand it better, you see. So now the next example by which we can understand this shift of identification is, let us take the example of the ocean. You have all seen the ocean because everywhere you see, every country, most of the countries have coastline. So now here where I'm here in Johannesburg, there is no sea. But if you go to Durban and other place coast, Cape Town, you can see the ocean. On the left side of the country is Indian Ocean, and below, if you go, you can see the merging of the Atlantic Ocean and Indian Ocean. Near Cape Town, you can see that. So on the right is Atlantic Ocean. So let us take up the example of this ocean. Everybody know what the ocean is. Now it is very easy to imagine and get this example right. So how can we explain this philosophy through this example of the ocean? There is the birth of wave. You will see a lot of waves, big, small, and so much huge waves, small waves, always waves and waves on the ocean. So we see birth of the waves, and there is, it will subside, death of the waves. But from the standpoint of water vision, the ocean, nothing is born and nothing is gone. So this is spiritual or philosophical approach. Training the mind to understand that there is no individual except Atman. Atman or God alone is there, which is neither born nor gone. No death, no birth. And since there is no birth, no death, there is no question of somebody destroying and somebody getting destroyed. And therefore, there is no question of punya or papa. And therefore, Arjuna, do your duty. You have to do your duty. This is the highest philosophical approach or spiritual approach, which requires a very, very subtle, refined, sharp intellect. All through the Sankhya Yoga or Gnana Yoga, Krishna prepares us with this training of sharpening our intellect through the Gnana Yoga. Now, one more important thing which we have to remember from the last verse, the discussion is by which we can go to the present verse, that is the 13th verse, and get better understanding. Therefore, what is the essence now? Atman or we, I, the Lord who exists within me, the consciousness is eternal. But I could not talk with you before my birth. I cannot talk with you after my death. So if somebody asks, I have already told that We have already explained through in the last class that when this body or hand does not exist, you cannot see the light. Does it mean that light doesn't exist? When reflected on the hand or the body, the light is reflected and it becomes manifested. Likewise, with the existence of the shape of the body, only Atman is manifested in the form of life. But once this body is gone, Atman still exists, but it is not manifested. It is in the avyakta rupa, unmanifest form. So, the interaction between people to people may not be there after the body is gone, because it is avyaktam. The interaction ends not because of the birth or death of the Atman, but because of the death of the medium of transaction. So the interaction with the world, interaction with other people, when a man dies or when I die, ends because the medium of interaction has been destroyed. That's all. I have not been destroyed. Only the medium of interaction is destroyed. Is the death of medium of interaction. Therefore, another example we can understand this better is while talking on the phone. Suddenly the conversation stops. You are talking to some person and conversation stops. You say the phone is dead. Do you tell the person is dead? You never utter the person is dead, but you tell the phone is dead. Or you don't tell I am dead. The phone is dead. Similarly, when a person gives up this body or dies, what is dead? Not the person. His telephone number is gone, that's all. What is the telephone number? His body is a present phone number. You apply for a new phone number, that is birth. You get a new phone number, then that is birth. So you see in the companies or when you apply for phone numbers, you apply and apply, there will be no reply. Similarly, after some time, new body can come immediately or after some time. But the Atman continues to exist. So, sarve vayamatah param, sarve vayam, all of us, atah param, here afterwards, we also exist after the body is gone. That was the essence, that is Atman is eternal, we are eternal. So that's why we have to shift that vision. Not with the body, we are eternal. All of us are eternal. We exist even after this body is gone. That's why Krishna is telling, do not grieve over death. Now, again, now we shall come back to the discussion of the present verse. As the indweller in the body experiences childhood, youth, and old age in the body, he also passes on to another body. The serene dhiraha will not be affected thereby. It should not be held that the individual that is the baby is quite different from the individual that is the youth. Likewise, the individual that transmigrates from one body to another retains his individuality as Atman. Only the medium of interaction, that is the body, is gone. The enlightened one sees into the truth and remains unperturbed over death. So that's why Krishna is telling all of us not to grieve, not to worry. Conversely, he who disciplines himself to remain unperturbed under all circumstances, situations, prepares himself thereby for enlightenment. How are we to do that? By doing our duty, present duty, living in the present, doing our present duty. For Arjuna, it was to fight the battle of righteousness for the cause of righteousness. For us, to do our duty, the present duty, swadharma. So wherever we are, whatever we are, doing that duty as an offering to the God, So living in the present, mindfulness, action, karma yoga. So that is what you go on, you preparing yourself. So conversely, the first one, the enlightened one sees into the truth and remains unperturbed over death. Conversely, he who disciplines himself to remain unperturbed all situation prepares himself thereby for enlightenment. So continuously doing our duty, continuously doing spiritual disciplines, sadhanas, karma yoga, puja, meditation, then we are preparing ourselves to be unperturbed and thereby for enlightenment. Can you give an example by continuously doing our duty, whether there is death, whether there is disease, whether there is something, youth, old age, we reach that goal? I will give you one beautiful example. That example will tell doing your duty properly, living in the present can overcome all problems and you can reach your goal. What is that beautiful example? I'll tell you a story. Stories are very, very easy. It makes us easy to understand the deep, very difficult philosophy. Once Lord Indra, you know Indra, king of gods, small god, small letter G, not the big. The Lord God highest is different. These are all small angels, demigods. So, king of these demigods, Indra, got upset with farmers. He announced there will be no rain for 12 years and they won't be able to produce crops. Farmers begged for clemency from Lord Indra, who then said rain will be possible only if Lord Shiva places Damaru. No, Shiva has that Damaru. But he secretly went to Lord Shiva and requested him not to yield to the farmers' request, not to agree to these farmers. And when the farmers reached Lord Shiva, he repeated the same thing what Indra had told him, that he will play his Damaru only after 12 years. Disappointed, all the farmers decided to wait till 12 years, but one farmer was regularly digging, treating, and putting manure in the soil and sowing the seeds even with no crops emerging, no rain. Other farmers were making fun of that farmer. After 3 years of all farmers asked this farmer who was toiling, doing his duty continuously, whether there is rain or shine. Why are you wasting your time and energy when you know that rains will not come before 12 years? So now that farmer, hard-working farmer replied, I know that the crops won't come out, but I am doing it as a matter of practice. That's what in some other portion Krishna tells Karmanye Vadikaraste Mafaleshu Kadachana. Do your duty. Don't be attached to the results. Just go on doing your duty. Whether death, whether birth, or whatever, whichever condition, whether old age or anything, do not grieve. Live in the present, do your duty. Be mindful of your actions. So living in the present is important. Do your duty, what you are. Suppose you are a student, study properly. Do that as an offering to God. Whether you are working in the office or working in an industry, wherever, as a housewife or anything, do that as an offering to the Lord, all your duty. That will prepare you to this height which Krishna is telling, shifting your identity from that body to the Atman. So after 12 years, so this farmer is telling them, I know that the crop won't come out, but I am doing it as a matter of practice. After 12 years, I will forget the process of growing crops and working in the field, so I must keep it going so that I am fit to produce the crop moment there is rain after 12 years. Now, other farmers just teased, laughed at him and went away. But hearing his argument, Mother Parvati, Goddess Parvati Umadevi praised his version before Lord Shiva and said, because mother is always compassionate towards the children, she wanted to pursue and see Shiva should play the Damaru and there should be rain, should help the farmers. So she went to Lord Shiva and told Lord Shiva that argument of that farmer, the version before Lord Shiva, and said, you may also forget playing the Damaru after 12 years if you don't play the Damaru. Innocent Lord Shiva, Shiva is called Bolanatha, is very innocent. So innocent Lord Shiva in his anxiety just tried to play the Damaru, whether after 3 years he has lost the habit of playing Damaru, to check if he could, and hearing the sound of the Damaru, immediately there was rain. And the farmer who was regularly working in the field got his crop emerged immediately, while others were disappointed. So it is the practice which keeps on making you perfect. We even become diseased or old just because we don't practice. So practice is the essence of quality survival. So now in this present situation, you may be in the lockdown because of the coronavirus for 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, whatever trade or profession we are in, doing that present thing, preparing yourself by meditation, sharpening your mind, thinking of this Atman, reading of this Bhagavad Gita, hearing the great words of the Lord. Let us keep sharpening our skills, practice with what we have, upgrade our knowledge. So don't wait for rain. That is a lockdown to be lifted. And then start something, focus on your skills, meditate, learn to live in the present so that you can meet your challenges, so that you can reach your goal. So that's what here Lord Krishna is telling. Do your duty. Nothing to worry. Many times I tell devotees when they come, when they are grieving, when they are worrying, why don't you use that energy which you are grieving or worrying unnecessarily about your past or future? Use that energy to do your present duty, what you have to do. Then you will be successful. You can help others really. Worrying will never solve the problems. If worrying and grieving over the death can overcome death, I will ask you worry as much as you want. But that will not solve the problem. It will aggravate the problem. That's why live in the present. Do your present duty as an offering to the Lord. That will take you to the goal. Then you will see after all your karma vasanas are gone, as Lord Krishna is telling, that Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogutan. All the desires are gone. Then you will become a Sita Prajna, liberated while living. Then you can get everything. You get that knowledge, the highest knowledge. So going forward in the study of our subject, that is what Krishna is telling, trying to different through different ways, trying to make us understand. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tata dehantara praptihi dhirastatra na muhyati. Now we shall try to understand the argument of Krishna, trying to convince us to believe that we are Atman and not this body. We shall get some different argument in a different way. And what is that argument? We, as a form of Atman, though as body we are limited, as Atman, as consciousness, we are all pervading, just like that light is all pervading, omnipresent. It exists in all sentient beings and inert objects too, being all pervading. It has no movement because it is already existing everywhere. Where could it move? Therefore, Atman is said to be immovable. Yet, the general belief is that at death, Atman moves away from the physical body. So, we are now worried with this corona or COVID 19 lockdown. We are worried that we cannot move out. But in reality, you are everywhere. You are that Atman, immovable, because you are omnipresent. You are everywhere. Now, I'll just give you an example by which a beautiful example, a humorous example. Because now in India, you know that coronavirus, it happened in India. Because of coronavirus, people cannot move out, policemen will be there. Only some vegetable vendors or some people who are selling some important things like medicines are allowed to move and sell those products. So one of his friend got bored by sitting at his home in the lockdown. So he went out and told the outside vegetable cart puller. They will be telling, the name of the vegetable and the cost, and they will be shouting at the peak of the voice, and they will be moving with the cart, vegetable cart, so that people may come and buy out. So this friend went out and told that vegetable vendor, cart puller, please help me. Sit in my home and watch TV for some time. I will take your vegetable cart for one round in the whole colony, suburb, and come back selling your vegetables. I'll give you the money of the sales of the vegetable as well as extra money. Please sit in my house, watch TV. You will everything will be provided, coffee, tea, food. Only allow me to go around because he wants to move out. He can't sit at one place. I'll take you a vegetable cart for one round in the colony and come back. Now that vegetable cart puller replied, my dear friend, I'm not the real vegetable cart vendor or the puller. I belong to the next suburb or the next street. The original vegetable vendor guy is sitting in my home watching TV. I too wanted to come out. So I took his help. I made him sit in my house watching TV and gave him tea, coffee, everything. And I have come here to go round the colony, go round the suburbs so that I am bored of sitting in my house. So likewise, all of us want to move around. We want to go. But here we see that the Atman is immovable. So then you may be worried, what is this? Can we be immovable? Because it is all pervasive. So it is everywhere. Then where is the question of moving here and there? Because it is everywhere. When you are everywhere, where will be the question of moving here and there and sitting at one place? You are the person, you are Atman, you are consciousness. Just like the light, you are all pervasive, omnipresent. Then where is the question of moving from here, moving from death to birth, moving from this life to next life? Where is that question? Because as Atman, you are always there, everywhere, immovable. So where could it move? Therefore, Atman is said to be immovable. Yet the general belief is that at death, Atman moves away from the physical body. This is not true. At the time of death, only our subtle body, the physical body is gone. The gross body is gone. But the subtle body and the causal body, as I told you earlier, there are three bodies within this, encaged in this: the physical, the gross body, inside which, as the Gnanendriya, Karmendriya, and the Panchaprana, mind, and other things, are the subtle body and the causal body. So, only those subtle body and the causal body that moves from one body to a physical body to another physical body. That's all. It's only the death or the breaking of the destruction of the physical body. That's all. You exist. You still move. So it is not true that at the time of death, the mind, intellect, but not the Atman leaves the body and enters another. This transference of mind, intellect from one physical body to another is the death of the previous body and birth of the new body. This phenomenon occurs within the medium of all pervading Atman. So Atman is always there, just like the on the road, constant road which doesn't move, which is always there. All the other vehicles moves here and there. The road doesn't move. So all the vehicles need one constant, eternal, immovable road for all the other vehicles to move. So in the medium of this Atman as a witness, so all these bodies come and go, the universe changes, everything happens. So as you, as Atman, will never die or never move, nothing happens, birth and death is not there. The body mind intellect defines the individual human personality. Beyond the material equipment of the body mind intellect lies the spirit of Atman, the very core of human being. Every individual has the same spiritual core, the all pervading Atman. The heterogeneous variety of beings arises out of the heterogeneous variety of the material equipments outside. The material equipment passes through the different stages of childhood, youth, and old age. Likewise, the embodied mind, intellect passes into another body, that's all. At the time of death, therefore, neither the embodied mind, intellect, nor Atman ceases at the time of death. Then where is the question of grieving? Why should you grieve? Why should you worry? Your mind Intellect uses your physical body to fulfill, exhaust your existing desires or vasanas. What is vasana? That's what Krishna is telling. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatam. Not only the desires which are being expressed in this life, but the desires which are sitting, lurking inside your mind in the form of the impression, the subtle desires, that is called vasanas. So, until everything is over, exhausted, so you need this body to fulfill your desires. That's why you go on taking newer bodies. Vasanas are desires in the unmanifest form. What are vasanas? They are the desires in the unmanifest form. When your present body can no longer be used to exhaust your vasanas, your mind, intellect will take another body. It's you who are taking another body to exhaust your desires. The old body dies and the new body is born. This process of birth and death goes and on until your last vasana, the subtle desires are exhausted, and your mind intellect merges with Atman. You become one with the Supreme Self. You become one with God. The wise understand this process of reincarnation and its culmination in self realization. Hence, they do not grieve at the change of life. They are not afraid. How do I get afraid? How am I afraid of death? Why do I worry? I spend sleepless night in fearing all these things. I'll just make this clear by one beautiful, humorous story. And what is that story? Beautiful story. This is a story. When I was about one boy is telling, when he was 9 years old, his father forced him to go with him to the funeral of a friend of his that he didn't know. He didn't know that person. He was the friend of his father. So this 9-year-old boy was forced by the father to go to the funeral. He was not interested because he doesn't know that person. Only father knows him. When he got there, the boy is telling that 9-year-old boy, I stayed in a corner waiting for the time to go back, return back to house. Then a man approached him and said, my dear boy, enjoy your life, be happy, because time flies. Look at me. I didn't enjoy it. Now I've lost everything. I've become old. He passed his hand over my head and left. My father, before leaving that burial ground, forced me to say goodbye to the dead person. When I looked into the coffin, I was startled that the man who was talking to me when I was in the corner was the same man in the coffin. So now you can imagine that person even touched his head and told, enjoy your life, boy. I didn't enjoy. So see, I am suffering. And he also touched his head. So now because of that, he thought, now the ghost has come. For several years later, that boy is telling I was not able to sleep properly with repeated nightmares and psychological disorder. I was terrified of being alone. I visited many psychologists, psychiatrists. I didn't turn off the light at night and several other turmoil that I had to endure throughout the adolescent ages. Years later, after all this suffering, I discovered something incredible that changed my life. What is that? That dead idiot had a twin brother. So he unnecessarily suffered all these so many years thinking that he has seen the ghost of that person and that ghost had touched him. Likewise, we suffer thinking that we are the body. There is a twin brother inside. So when we come to know, that is what Krishna is trying to explain, who is that you are Atman. So when you come to know, all the suffering ceases. Then you will not worry, you will not grieve over death. So this makes us a little easy, such humorous stories, to understand this concept. We will go forward again because this is this intellectual gymnastics, this exercise of knowing our own real nature and Vedanta is very tough. It's intellectual gymnastics. So we need some such examples to make things easier to understand. Now we shall get into the deeper study of this topic. So how shall we take it through another angle, another perspective. Just as a self which is in the body goes through boyhood, youth, and old age, so also it goes through the attainment of another body also. So a wise man, dhiraha, means we think the literal meaning of dhira means a person, a courageous person. But here it is meant a wise man, a man of discrimination. A wise man does not worry over such a thing. So then, what is birth and what is death? If I come to know what is birth and what is death, then the fear of death will go. So that's why Krishna is giving all these things to make us remove that fear of death, that we should not grieve over death of neither my body nor the other people. So if I am eternal, what is birth and death to me? Here Krishna says birth and death are nothing but changing the medium of interaction. Just like when you get the old phone, it's become old model. Then you have got so many new models to enjoy, so many new facilities has come in. You throw away that old model to the junk and then you take a new model, isn't it? It is just like that. So birth and death is just like that. Here Krishna says birth and death are nothing but changing the medium of interaction, the physical body. And the physical body will have to be changed regularly. It has to be changed. Nobody can stop it. So why do you grieve? Why do you worry? And the physical body will have to be changed regularly because it's subject to be worn out. So do not we change whatever we use, the curtains, we put on a new curtain when it is old, the dress therefore a new dress also we wear when it is old. As the things get worn out, initially we will wash, thereafterwards dry clean, repainting, etc. All methods we are trying, ultimately we change that. Similarly, he says, Lord Krishna says, we use this medium of interaction. After some time, when it becomes old, we change that. And how the body gets worn out. Asmin Dehe, in this body, there are 4 stages of experience. What are they? At the physical level, the body has to undergo from the childhood Kaumaram. It has to come to Kaumaram. Before that, it is Balyam, childhood. Then Kaumaram, youth. So then it is Yauvanam, youth, Jara, old age. Now, when these 4 stages take place, do I change? Do I change my name because I was somebody else in the childhood? So I will have a different name when I am a child, and then when I come to the Kaumaram at the age of 12 or 13, then do I change it? Then after when I become youth, do I change my name? No, I am the same person. Do I change my name? My identity is not changed even when the body changes. So I use same I. When I was in Balya, I studied in that school and I studied in the college, and now I am a youth, and now I am in the middle age, I am in the old age. I'll become a diseased person. Even though the body changes and the condition changes, what is the constant factor? The constant factor is I. It continues always. It is one single thread, and according to biology, after every so many years, all our cells are completely replaced. We all know little, at least little of biology. Body is completely changed. We have got a fresh body, as it were. Only thing is that cell by cell it is changing, and you do not feel, just like the river. You've seen the river. You think the river is constantly there, but every second it is not the same drop of water which is there, it is constantly flowing into the sea. So the river is not the same thing even after a second, just like that our body, even now. Why after death? Why to go to that stage of death and other things, or to from the childhood to the Kaumaram, then Kaumaram to the youth, and youth to the middle age, and middle age to the old age. Every 6 months, all the blood cells of ours is changed completely. New things from the bone marrow and other places. The whole blood cells change in our blood within 6 months. That's why doctors prescribe you can donate your blood once in 6 months, because the whole thing is new. Even if you don't donate, the old cells are removed and thrown out. So you can easily donate within 6 months your blood to other people, which will be very good. It will be good for you and good for others too. So you see, the blood cells are changed, all the others, your hair change, your nails change. It's not the same hair which you have, it's not the nails, same nails which you have. So it goes on changing. It is estimated that within 7 years, practically all the cells of the body changes. Further, the molecules within the cells change even more rapidly. With every breath we inhale oxygen, oxygen molecules are absorbed into our cells via the metabolic processes, and molecules that were heretofore locked within the cells are released as carbon dioxide. Scientists estimate that in 1 year's time, about 98% of our bodily molecules change. And yet, despite the continual change of the body, we perceive that we are the same person. Do you grieve? Are you worried about all the cells of your bodies are changed? Just like coronavirus, the SARS virus, another cold, common cold flu comes into your body, it causes you cold, then it goes away. It stays in your body, in your lungs, or any part of the body and goes away. Are you worried about it? So many bacteria, so many living creatures come inside, so many molecules, so many energy things, so much of this thing comes. See, that energy which was in the form of matter there in the sun, due to nuclear fusion, it is converted into light and heat energy. It reaches us, this earth, then the whole, what do you call, plant kingdom changes it due to photosynthesis into food material as energy. Then we eat that food, then that heat is energy is released in our body. So that which was matter there in the sun now is this body, then again it goes away, it is put out, everything is changing. So that was that material, that molecules and other things which was in the sun has become this body now. So even directly you get that vitamin D from the sun rays itself. So then it is going out again, then that which was in the plant becomes your part. So it is changing, it's a constant state of flux. So every cells are changing constantly. In 1 year, the whole 98% of our bodily molecules change. And yet, despite the continual change of the body, we perceive that we are the same person. Are we worried about it? Do we grieve over that? That is because we are not the material body, but the spiritual soul seated within stays there. So, as we saw in the last thing, we have to identify with that constant eternal thing. We should not identify with this changing thing. You suffer, you worry because you are identifying with this changing thing. I'll give you one beautiful example. There were two boys of 6 years speaking together. One was bragging. From my father's side, I am related to one great minister, political minister. Then from my mother's side, I'm related to the topmost police officer. So I'm related to all big shots, big people. Are you in any way related to somebody? Anybody famous? The second boy, 6-year-old boy, told, gave a beautiful answer. So this will help you to shift your identification. How? What did he tell? The second boy told, I don't want to brag, but I heard my dad calling God his father. So if God is father of my father, then he is related to me. The most famous, the highest person is God, is related to me. So who do you think I should be related to? Other ordinary politicians and other things? I'm related to God. What an identity, what a beautiful identity of that boy of 6 years. And we want to identify with this body which is changing. So we have to shift our identity. That is what Krishna himself, being the Lord, is teaching us, training us to remove that, change that, shift. So now in this verse, the word Deha means the body, and the Dehi means possessor of the body or the soul. So Krishna draws Arjuna's attention to the fact that since the body is constantly changing in one lifetime itself, within 1 year itself, every year, every second it is changing, the soul passes through similar way, just like since the body is constantly changing in one lifetime every year itself, similarly the soul passes through many bodies the same manner. Just like that I is constantly staying behind my childhood, behind my Kaumara, that boyhood days, then the youth, then the middle age, then the this thing. It was the same I. It is not changing. That constant I is there, just like that. Even when the body falls and takes up another body, still it is I, the Atman, which is still existing. So at the time of that, the Atman or you, real you, passes into another body, the subtle body. Actually, what we term as death is worldly parlance, is merely the soul discarding, it's not the soul but the subtle body, discarding its old dysfunctional body, and what we call birth is the soul, the subtle body taking on a new body elsewhere. This is the principle of reincarnation. So, especially the Oriental people believe in reincarnation. Everywhere, all over the world, it was true. Everybody believed in reincarnation, that we still live. Even after death, we have life. Even before death, even before birth, we had life. So, belief in that is called reincarnation. So, it goes on, it continues. Now, that's what Krishna is telling through different arguments. What is our real nature, who we really are. Now, coming back to that argument, this extended this extend a little bit more, and what is that extension? Having changed sufficiently, you replace the body by another one. Therefore, Krishna says tata dehantara prapti, like changing the old cloth, you have changed the useless body and you have replaced this with another body, so you should only be happy. Why should you be unhappy and grieving? Because you have got a new body now, because you have not lost everything. It is like demolishing the old building and building a new one. You have seen the apartments, the smaller houses are broken and new big apartments are built in that place. All independent houses are pulled down and converted into apartments. Even though they all change, the enclosed space, the space in which that small house existed, is the same space even when the big apartments come up. It does not change, just like the space doesn't change the external space. So, similarly, the consciousness is like that space. It is the Chaitanya. The body wall appears, the body wall is demolished. Therefore, Krishna says, Tatha Dehantara Praptihi. Similar is the acquisition of another body. Dhiraha Tatra Muhyati. A wise man, a courageous man, doesn't grieve. Muhyati doesn't grieve, doesn't worry. The one who accepts the body as a temporary medium will not grieve, and therefore such a person is called Dhira, a courageous man, intellectual man. So here Dhira means discriminative person who has that faculty of discrimination strong in him. He namohyati is not deluded, he is not worried. And therefore Arjuna in this war, Bhishma's Sharira will go, but Bhishma's Atma still exists. Similarly, Drona Charya's Sharira will go, Karna's Sharira will go, but Karna's Atman still exists. So why are you grieving continuously? Do not grieve. That is what Krishna is telling us. So I will just tell you one beautiful poem of a Sufi saint. Sufis also, in the Islamic tradition, there are Sufi saints, Sufism. So they too believe in incarnation. One of the great Sufi saints, Sufi mystic, Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi declared, What is this poetry? Beautiful poetry. I died out of the stone and I became a plant. I died out of the plant and I became an animal. I died out of the animal and became a man. Then why then should I fear to die? Why then should I fear to die? When did I grow less by dying? I shall die out of man and shall become an angel. So I shall die out of man and become an angel. That's what the beautiful poetry of that great personality, Jalaluddin Rumi. So the Sufi saint. So likewise, I should be happy that I'm going, progressing, evolving. So it is this evolution that's very, very important here. So one more beautiful story from Ramakrishna, which will make it much more clearer. With that story, I'll end my talk. That beautiful story told by Ramakrishna is just we grieve for that people, other people's death, and grieve for our own body. So, how to overcome that? With this story, with the philosophy behind that story, which is told by none other than our great master Ramakrishna, you can understand it better, appreciate it better, and then come out of that fear of death of others and ourselves. There was one widowed lady. She had only one son. She was a very devoted widow. She was devoted to none other than Lord Narayana. So one fine day, her only child in his youth passed away. He died. Now she was so much grieved because she is first of all a widow, nobody to look after her, nobody with her. Secondly, only son passed away, nobody for her in this life. So she was very much upset. She did lot of penance. She did lot of tapasya. She did lot of meditation and japa to get the vision of Lord Vishnu, Hari, Narayana. So because pleased with her intense devotion, after many years, Lord Narayana gave her the vision. Then asked her, my dear mother, what do you want? Why are you doing so much of spiritual practices? Then she told, oh Lord, I want my son back. I cannot live without my son. Then Lord Narayana told, okay, I can bring back, that's not a problem at all. But I have this world, in this world, I have given this free will to all the living beings. I can't force anybody. It should be out of free will that he should be coming. I may take you to him or I may bring that your son to you now. But if by free will, by his will, if he wants to come back to you, then only he can. So if you agree to this condition, then I will bring back that your son wherever he is now. She told, okay, my son loves me. He'll definitely be happy to come back to me. I told, okay, Narayan told, okay, I'll call back. So that son of this widow was already born as another human being in another life. Now Lord Narayana brought back that child from that birth back to the mother here. He was already a grown up child there. He had already come to the youth there in another family. He had another mother and father there. So now he came back. He was brought back by Narayana. Told, say, here is your son. You ask him. If he agrees, he can stay with you. Then the mother pleaded, my dear son, you were my son in the last birth. Now you are born in another family. But I can't live without you. Please come back and live with me. Now that child was confused. He told, my dear mother, yes, I was your son in the last birth. Lord Narayana has given me the knowledge. But I also know that I am now at present the son of that mother who is staying there in another country. Now she will be grieving. She may do tapasya. to get me back again, asking Narayana to bring back. So, the earlier, before your birth, I may be the child of another mother. Then that mother may be grieving. She may call me to come back to her life. So, like that, there are so many mothers. I was in the body of so many other different personalities, and now I am in that other, as a other son of that mother. So, where shall I go if all the mothers starts calling me, start calling me? Where shall I go? What shall I do? So, then that lady could understand the truth behind the death and birth. Told, yes, my dear son, you have to go forward in your spiritual path to your destination. So the Lord alone is our real relative, or the person who exists always with us. All these wife, husband, child, all these things, they come and they go. So we should see the Lord in every one of them and serve them, live with them happily, be in the present, serve them. That is your duty. But when they are gone, when their station comes, they exit. Just like while you're traveling in a railway train, so many people get into your compartment. They become your friend, they become very close. Then you start enjoying their company, sitting there, talking to them, playing with them. Then you become so close. But maybe after 1 day or 2 day or some hours, their station comes. When their station comes, they have to get down and go. When your station comes, when your destination comes, you have to get down from the train. You can't be permanently traveling. You have to go. So you will not be grieved that, oh, that friend, he became so close to me, and now I have to end my relationship with him. He is gone. So you don't grieve. When your station comes, you get down and go. When his station comes, destination comes, he will get down and go. Likewise, here too, death of our kith and kin. He is just like when his destination comes, he is to go forward in his evolution in the process towards reaching God. So you have to go in your path, in your evolution to reach that highest God. So God is the only permanent thing. So that is already within you. So you are there. He is also there, eternally there as your Atman. So nothing to worry. Go forward. Be in the present. Do your duty and go forward. Do not grieve of the death of your own body. Do not grieve for the death of other body too. That's what Krishna is trying to explain beautifully. So with all this explanation of Krishna, we should know what is our real nature, put it into practice with all these things, then we will not be worried, we will be happy because we are going forward in your spiritual life. Just like suppose you get some higher job, you are going for some higher education to some foreign countries, maybe from South Africa, Johannesburg, to you may be going to America or some other places for higher education. Will your mother be grieved that you are going away from her? She'll be very happy to send you that because you are progressing in your education, you are getting higher education. So she'll be very happy to send you. Likewise, here too, you are going to the higher evolution, to the next process to reach God. So why there is a question of worry? We should not worry. That is because of attachment and the wrong avidya. Because of our ignorance, we are worried. So if we remove the lens, if we remove the covering, the mask of this maya, this ignorance, then we can see the truth. So now, because of the coronavirus situation, in India there is a preparation called payasam, a type of porridge. They will put all semolina, then there will be condensed milk in it, then there will be the cashew nut fried in ghee, clarified butter, then there will be dried grapes and so many other things, badam. So that porridge will be very tasty. Now the husband is complaining to the wife, what kind of payasam or porridge have you prepared? As I drink it, only I am getting the milk portion. All that cashew nut and other semolina and other things are staying in the bowl itself. It's not coming to my mouth. So what is the problem with your payasam? Then the wife told, it is not the problem with the payasam. or the porridge. It is a problem because you have to drink that payasam removing your mask. Because of coronavirus, you are wearing the mask and you are trying to drink that payasam with the mask. So that's why you're getting only the milk and you're not getting the real things like the cashew nut and other things, good things. It is all remaining in the bowl. Likewise, to understand, overcome the fear of this death and trouble, worry, and other things, you have to remove the mask of ignorance. You have to remove the mask of this Maya, time, space, and causation. Then you will see God and God everywhere. You are eating God, you are sleeping in God, you are breathing God, you are in God, and you are that. So, with that knowledge, you will not grieve. That is what Krishna, through so many arguments, he wants that we should not grieve, but we want to grieve. Identifying ourselves with this, we always want to grieve and get into trouble. But Krishna wants us through all these teachings to raise us from this problem and overcome this trouble. So we will take this, understand this, meditate, cogitate on what Lord Krishna is trying to tell, and overcome fear, overcome that grief, overcome all the worries. That's what Krishna wants us. So today, because of the uh, time is over, I'll stop the class and continue the same argument of Krishna to tries to convince that we are that eternal Atman. Our real nature is trying to prove what is our real nature. We'll progress in that in the next class. Again, Saturday we'll meet again to understand this. On Tuesday, I'll be taking the study of Vivek Chudamani the same time. Then Wednesday again there will be Bhagavad Gita study of the second chapter, the 13th verse. Likewise again on Saturday we will be again doing having the study of Bhagavad Gita, the 13th verse, and go to the 14th verse. For today we will stop the discussion of Bhagavad Gita with a verse on the meditation of Bhagavad Gita. Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkrupatamaham Vande Paramanandamadhavam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.